We're discussing the ANC's recent conference resolution around relocating certain SOEs to the ministries to which they are the closest related. And we were having this conversation with SA National Energy Development Institute Energy Secretariat Head, Professor Sampson Mamphweli, who was sharing his thoughts on whether this could be a viable option. Prof, welcome back. Let's hope the line holds.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was saying that in terms of whether this will work or not, regarding load shedding, we can't say this is a solution to load shedding. What we can say is that this will align in terms of planning and also when it comes to oversight on the implementation side. So the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy does the planning in terms of new generation capacity through the integrated resource plan. And then when it comes to implementation, the department then procures the energy from the IPPs and other power generators, and then Eskom will have to sign the power purchase agreement after the Department of Energy has gone through the procurement process and all that. Now, in the past, like around 2015, if I remember well, there was this issue where the department procured 27 IPP projects, and when it went to Eskom refused to sign the power purchase agreement with this project. And that kind of creates policy uncertainty. And when I attended the dialogue that was organized by the ANC, one of the main things that they were concerned about as the ANC was policy uncertainty around some of these issues. So I think this move is more about policy certainty going forward, which is something that was very, very much discussed during the dialogue, and also sending of one message when it comes to the issue of energy. Yeah.
It follows then, Prof, just to stay on that question, that one would imagine that, not getting agreement from Eskom would mean that Eskom had what it would say were its own legitimate reasons to oppose that. Doing this, even though we want to pursue policy certainty, is not going to really ensure that the decision itself or the policy itself is sound.
Not necessarily. I mean, we don't know what will be the impact of this as yet, because there's no proper, at this particular point in time, there is no feasibility study that has been conducted to establish what will be the impact of this. But what we know for sure is that when it comes to policy uncertainty and sending of various conflicting messages in the energy space, that part will be dealt with. Because, for instance, you wouldn't find a situation where the Department of Public Enterprises is saying load shedding is because of ABCD, and then the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is saying it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Because then there will be an alignment between the line department and the SOE, and then the information coming from the SOE will go directly into the line department, and the same message will then be communicated to the public.
Yeah, and one might say that the loudest communicator of certainty, especially in our economy in this context, is the secure and consistent provision of energy. But I want to put that to the side for just a moment. Let's bring in the concerns of those who are opposed to this, like the opposition parties, warning that it would be, in essence, a conflict, the energy ministry being Eskom's shareholder, but also being responsible for competition in the sector. They go further to say that this would, or the energy ministry would have an interest in cementing Eskom's dominant position. And I would like your evaluation of this concern, Prof.
I don't think there will necessarily be a conflict of interest. I think the opposition parties are overreacting in this particular sense. The department, the regulator is the National Energy Regulator, and it will still have its function to still regulate the sector. The Eskom themselves, there's an unbundling process that is in the way. The transmission is going to be an independent transmission company, and it will then introduce competition in terms of buying from various generators, people who are producing electricity. And this is still the same cabinet, so to speak, that will make further decisions on what happens at Eskom. They could still make the same decisions under the current circumstances. So I think the opposition is kind of jumping the gun in terms of that. I think, and there are international best practices. I mean, if you look at what's happening at the international space, countries like America and other countries where the Department of Energy is responsible for the power utility, and also other private power utilities, private generators in terms of regulation.
Just a final quick one. You know, we've been hearing for a while about the unbundling plan, separating Eskom's transmission, their generation and distribution functions. It's going to be treated the same as you would wholly owned legal entities, and they would have, you know, their own accountability. Share with us whether this is the configuration under the Ministry of Energy that could likely unravel this tight knot that is Eskom, promote transparency and critically improve its performance and accountability.
So, yeah, if you look at the unbundling process itself, it will improve efficiency, so to speak. Things will be done much more efficiently. Eskom at the moment is a big company. It's very difficult to manage. So it will be much better to manage. That's one. The second issue is the introduction of competition. So Eskom Transmission, for instance, won't be obliged to buy electricity only from Eskom generation. They can open up the space and then create competition. Once that competition is created, it then comes with the advantage of lowering the prices of the goods. In this case, it's electricity. So depending on how the Eskom transmission will conduct its business in terms of buying from IPPs, they could introduce a system where people will bid for provision of electricity. So whoever will have electricity at a particular point in time can then supply electricity, and then because of the bidding, people will try to beat each other's prices, and then we end up with lower prices.
Well, this one is certainly one to watch. We heard the president made the comment that things take time, particularly things like this. So the time frames of when this could likely become a reality are still something to be determined. That was the SA National Energy Development Institute Secretariat head, Professor Sampson Mamphweli.